All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the latest edition of the Spoken Truth podcast. I'm Chaz here with Tunde to cover Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals.
Damn, I don't get to introduce myself.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say what's going on, Tunde.
I'll
You
take it.
looking
I'll
forward to
take
this
it.
game?
No, I hate basketball. That's why I spend 20 hours a week talking about it. Of course, I'm looking forward to
20
it.
hours. Wow, that is a lot. As a side job,
You said what?
I said as a side job.
As a side job, yeah. Nah,
All
but
right, so
in
I'm
all
trying to.
seriousness, very excited for this one. Think we're gonna get a good game tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm trying to get this stream up, but we're here early. Warriors up 21-17 with 2:22 in the first quarter. You got any early takeaways? We'll get to keys in a second. So, what have you seen in these first 10 minutes or so?
Um, I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff. I mean, offensively, I think we've seen all series on Golden State's end, and that Steph has been able to, it's a lot of what we traditionally see with them, which is that they do a great job getting to the rim and attacking the paint because of the threat of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson shooting threes. Steph's been lethal and so efficient at the rim in this series. On the other end, Dallas is largely getting whatever they want and just not converting on that. They're sticking to the game plan. Lots of various forms of high pick and roll. We saw one of the last times down the court they ran a double ball screen into you know which turned into a pass to Luke on the wing, shot, missed three. Like getting good looks, just you got to put the ball in the rim.
Yeah, we were talking about it before we got on here that, they've been sticking with the same game plan every single night here, but it's just whether or not they hit these shots. To start the game, they're 2 for 8. That's something that we'll track to see if they continue that early. But they're still in this game because the Warriors aren't shooting great either to start. So, just a low scoring first quarter to start. But like you said, it does seem like they're running pretty good actions as Wiggins gets in there for a nice layup to put the Warriors up 23-17.
That's all-star game starter Andrew Wiggins. So
Yeah, I mean, if he plays like he did in that game 4 at Dallas, I feel like the Warriors are going to win the championship. I mean, he doesn't need to do that every single night, but if he can do that in 4 or 5 games in the finals, I feel like they're going to be really tough to beat.
I mean, no doubt he was great. Yeah, I mean that version of Andrew Wiggins makes this team very hard to beat. In a lot of ways, Andrew Wiggins is stylistically like Harrison Barnes, and obviously we've seen that this Warriors core can win the championship with Harrison Barnes on the wing. So
Yeah, and then obviously you Draymond hits a three right there. Um, but as you were saying with Wiggins, that when he plays like that with his defense, and his athleticism being even a step up from a guy like Barnes or other guys that they've had in that position. I mean, when he's playing at his best, he is a really, really good player. We've just known it's not always going to be like that, as he's been dealing with that his entire career.
yeah,
Dinwiddie deep three right there too.
it's a big one,
Cut the lead down to 6.
man. How much time do you have left in the game on your end?
They just hit 8 seconds left in the quarter. Curry's dribbling it up.
Oh man,
There's
my
a foul out on top.
I gotta. So somehow I've got a funky stream tonight, and we are a full minute behind you.
Ooh, okay, I'll try not to spoil anything for you.
Oh no! Please spoil it for me.
Only if it's worthy of it.
The suspense is not what I'm here for. I'm here for analysis.
For sure. So, we're winding down the first quarter right here. Warriors up 27-20 with Wiggins at the line. I did want to ask you a couple questions. Just with with betting, odds and stuff like that. So, coming into the night, Warriors up 7 right now. They were 7-point favorites. Is that a number that you think they're going to be able to surpass? Or, I was saying that I hope it's a close game. Do you think the Warriors are going to be able to pull away?
Oh man, how'd you know I was a degenerate who likes things like this?
I love betting spreads.
So personally, I stay away from betting spreads like the plague, and have. There was a time in my life where I was a very avid sports bettor, and it led to lots of pain. And so
It always does.
not that I wasn't able to like I lost a bunch of money. I actually ended up breaking about even, but it just made things a little less fun. I wasn't making enough money off of it to justify the fact that I was making things less fun. To actually answer your question, my read on this game is that it'll either be like a Golden State ass whooping, or it'll be a Golden State ass whooping, or it'll be a close game that the Mavericks will win. So I mean, I'm thinking it'll be a close game that the Mavericks will win, but I absolutely think the Warriors. You bet the Warriors on that spread that you'll, yeah, that you should feel somewhat confident. There's a very real chance that Dallas is exhausted. They've been playing more or less every other day now for the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they really don't play they don't play a lot of guys. So, the 7 that they do play might just, be dead.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, I feel like coming into the night, I was kind of thinking that Dallas had a really good chance to win this game. They have some momentum coming off that last game, but mainly I just feel like Luka is due for, maybe a 35, 40-point game. And I also think that Dinwiddie is going to have a good night. If he's like he was in Game 7 against Phoenix, then I feel like they could pull off an upset on the road tonight and extend this series. So I feel like that is one key to the game, which we'll get to in a second. Another thing that, I wanted to ask is the over-under is set at 215. After one quarter, we're at 51. Do you think that's a number that they're going to be able to meet? Right now, they're under that.
The hell do I know?
Off pace right now.
See, over unders are another one that's tough because it's one of my favorite Sports Center. We can call it Sports Center. One of my favorite Sports Center segments was always Bad Beats with Scott Van Pelt. I feel like again I've seen so many spread horror stories,
Yeah.
and over under horror stories. Yeah. All that being said, I'd go the over with this one. I think both teams aren't shooting particularly well to start this game. I also think that what we've seen over the course of this series is that one way or another, one team makes a huge run in the third quarter. Wouldn't be surprised if we get something like that again tonight.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go the other way. I feel like, I'm kind of cheating, with their off to this slow start, but I think they'd be on track to be scoring 204, I think right now. So I'll take the under just based off of that. But I mean, if one of these two teams gets hot in the second quarter, then it could flip, just as quickly.
Oh no, absolutely. I am just I'm gonna bank on guys shooting a little better, going forward.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Both teams shooting 4 for 12 from 3. Mavericks at 32% right now, so I would assume they'll get going a little bit. So now that we're back to start this second quarter, Warriors up 28-23. Why don't we get to keys to the game? So I'll let you lead it off.
For sure. I mean, you've heard me say it all series. like Maxi Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith, Frank Ntilikina. I mean, even like the 3 minutes Josh Green played earlier in the series, the guys who primarily play off the ball for Dallas have got to make shots. The Mavericks can't win if they don't. They just can't. In a lot of ways, this Dallas team is functionally similar to the Space City Houston Rockets teams that we saw with James Harden and Chris Paul with Mike D'Antoni as head coach. They want to run primarily high spread pick and roll system. You have shooters surrounding that with maybe one lob threat, the one lob threat being Dwight Powell. And then it's, a bunch of 3-and-D guys off of that. And it's tough to defend because, of the shooters providing spacing. But part of those shooters providing spacing is them, knocking down open catch and shoot shots when they have the opportunity to do that or when they get the ball. Those guys have to shoot well. I've Reggie Bullock being one of them. Can't believe I left him out. He was, 0 for 10 in game 3. So, yeah. Shot the ball well last game, as did Maxi Kleber. But, those guys are going to have to make shots.
Yeah, I thought Reggie Bullock might have been the biggest reason that they won that last game. And, like you mentioned, he might have been the biggest reason that they lost the previous game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just in general, like if you're Dallas, you're like the shot quality you're getting, you're happy with it, and you're cool with the shots that Reggie Bullock and that Kleber are taking. Like they're good looks, and they're both very, very good shooters. It's just a matter of making them. I'm also interested in seeing the Warriors, how much the Warriors go zone tonight. It's been kind of a feature of the defense in this series. Obviously, I don't think that's accidental. People kind of mocked Jason Kidd for saying it after game 4. He's like, they keep going zone because they can't guard us a man. But again, Dallas is getting good looks. It's a crazy thing to say, being down 3-1 in the series. It sounds a little wild, but Dallas is getting the shots they want.
Yeah, they have been all series. They've been generating between 25 and 30 wide open 3-pointers per game. I mean, that's exactly what their offense is designed to create. It's just, in a few games they haven't hit it. In game 2, the second half, they weren't shooting well. So, the offense kind of fell apart. One guy that I wanted to point to, he does, some of the open shooting, but he also does a lot of the attacking off the dribble, Spencer Dinwiddie. He's a guy that when he's clicking, it takes a lot of that pressure off of Luka, and he creates some shots for other guys as well. 2 threes in that first quarter. He had one right at the end of the first quarter in the corner, and then a nice move a second ago to get to the lane and finish. So I think he's got eight early points. He is a guy, and Brunson had a couple of early points too in this quarter. So, those two guys, when they're scoring, they can really keep going, stay within striking distance, even though, the Warriors offense has picked it up a little bit in this quarter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When Dinwiddie is, playing well, I think, like you mentioned, we see shot-making ability with him that some of the other guys on this roster just don't have. He profiles as somebody who can be a primary shot creator. That's not really in the wheelhouse for Dorian Finney-Smith or Reggie Bullock or Maxi Kleber, Davis Bertans.
Half the roster.
we saw Maxi Kleber, make a 2-point shot a few games ago, and it was the first 2-point shot he had made all playoffs. But some of these guys are really just there to space the floor. And having a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie who is able to get 2 feet in the paint consistently makes everything else easier for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So let's jump to the Warriors side of this. They're up 40-32 right now. Klay Thompson has 13 points. He's famously known, to play well in these closeout games. We've talked about how big of a difference he makes when he is shooting well. What have you seen, in this first 15 minutes or so from him? He is 13 points, 5 of 9, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. And he just had 5 straight points a second ago.
I think one of the things I appreciate most about Klay Thompson is no matter how he's shooting, no matter what the fans think, no matter what his teammates think, sometimes the next shot is going up.
Yeah.
And he's a fantastic shooter, so it's hard to blame him. I think we're seeing a little bit of everything. We're seeing him come off pin downs and dribble handoffs and just rise on fire. You saw the last bucket there was, it's like a pump fake and a mid-range like sidestep. What a block! Holy crap!
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're seeing, that's really like disrespectful. Like the fact that it's like pinned, it's wedgied in there. Like we got to stop the game to get somebody to get it out of there because he threw your shit to hell that bad. That's crazy to me.
Wow, as Klay drills another 3, came off the ball action, catch and shoot, take him up 45 to 32. So Klay really is going early. He's 4 of 7 from beyond the arc.
I think the thing that impresses me most about Klay, besides all the other stuff, is the fact that he gets his shot, like his release. The amount of time it takes for him to go from like catch to shot is it's the blink of an eye. He gets the ball out so fast. And it's crazy because he can also shoot without dipping the ball at all. He gets it out. He gets a shot off so fast. And that allows him to take some of the shots we're seeing him make tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you too about what you've seen from his movement since he returned from this injury. Obviously, the shooting percentages are down this year, as I feel like a lot of us could have predicted. But what do you see from his movement? Because I feel like he is still able to get quality shots a lot of the times. It's just they're not going down as much as we're used to from Klay.
Oh yeah, I think Klay's taking tough ones, and that's a little bit of a part of why the percentages are down, like a little tougher than normal.
So,
I think he's moving. I think he's moving about as well as you can expect for someone who just came off of an ACL tear and an Achilles tear. He's not shooting, or he's not moving like Superman, but like prime Klay Thompson, where you would have him, be willing to have him like guard an elite perimeter scorer or an elite wing guy and do everything he's doing offensively. They don't have that right now. So I don't think Klay moves like that right now. I don't know if he'll ever get back there, and the Warriors are certainly not trying to task him with trying that. Another reason why this team really misses Gary Payton the second, and then on some level, Otto Porter Jr. But Klay Thompson looks good.
Yeah, I think so too. And then we'll talk about keys to the game. Obviously Klay is one of them. We mentioned Wiggins. I think he's probably the key to them winning the finals entirely. What else do you think the Warriors need to do in order to finish closing out this game? Right now they're up 45 to 32 mid-second quarter.
Keep doing what you're doing. Lots of like low post splits for Klay and Steph is what we've seen out of them tonight. Just as in general rule of thumb, Draymond Green catches the ball on the block, it's not the score. So we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of guys chasing over the screens on the perimeter out of those actions, or trying to be on top. And so all that's happening off of that is that Klay and Steph are just continuing around the screen. Draymond hits him with a bounce pass there at the rim.
Yeah, a few of these Clay buckets have been off the dribble. Looks like he gets a nice bounce tonight, and then that was a great play right before the timeout to set him up. Draymond with the drop off pass off the screen. He has 16 points as they put the graphic up. Between games 1 and 4 in the first half, he had 18 combined. Tonight already 16. So obviously a big reason why the Warriors have gotten off to a 13-point start.
Yeah, I think this is the reason why you can't let yourself get down 3-0 in the series. Klay hasn't shot the ball, particularly well, especially early on in the series, and that's not going to last.
Right. Yeah, so we've got a lot else that we want to talk about. We'll get to that Celtics versus Heat game 5 last night. If you want to talk about that next commercial break, maybe. We also want to talk about, the 5 best players remaining in the playoffs. I did want to get your thoughts on, some Lakers stuff, even though they're not around right now in the playoffs. A lot circulating with, the coaching carousel and Russell Westbrook trade rumors. So we'll get to all that in a little bit. But right now we're just looking into the Warriors versus Mavericks game 5 as Jordan Poole is at the line right now. He's got 8 points and the Warriors up 46-34.
I mean, right now it's you have to stay in context here if you're Dallas. In danger of getting away from you. It's been tough, and this is where the non-Luka minutes really matter. Last game, Dallas won a huge run with Luka out of the game that put the game away, or so we thought anyway. And in this game, they're trying so hard to make this work. Without Luka on the court, it's not really working at the moment. I don't know how much more rest you can give him.
Yeah, and Jason Kidd's definitely thinking the same thing as Luka goes to check in the game. It looks like Steph Curry is also set to come in. Jordan Poole misses a 3 right there. Just a second ago, Frank Ntilikina did knock down one of those open threes. Something that he hasn't really been able to do. So
over not just in this series, over the course of his career.
Entire career. But I mean, I do feel like we have to give him props for the defense that he's shown this year. And if he could continue to improve that 3-point shot a little bit, I think he might be able to stay on the floor in the coming year.
If he was even let's say a 32 or 33% 3-point shooter, he'd be a starter. Easily would be a starting guard in the NBA. The shooting and the ability to play NBA level offense and score the ball is just it's tough to make that work with him.
Do you think he can get to the point where he's not, creating shots or anything like that, but is just simply knocking down a shot? He could be kind of a smaller version of a 3-and-D.
It's funny you asked that. I actually happen to know somebody who works inside the Knicks organization. I'll be nice and not say his name, but I know somebody who works inside the Knicks organization who's told me a decent amount about Frank. Obviously, the Knicks invested in him pretty heavily as a first round draft pick of theirs.
The whole city did.
The whole city did. The book on Frank is that he works extremely hard. He wants to be great more than anybody else. The offensive ability, it's just not there. It's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of effort. Some people just don't have it. He just doesn't have it. Mm-hmm. So my answer to that is no. I think this guy he is now is probably just who he's going to be.
Yeah, you're probably right. As a lot of these starters check back into the game, Dallas cut the lead down to 47-38. Moody hits a fall-away shot right there. We were talking about him a little bit last game, and we saw a lot out of him in that fourth quarter when the Warriors made that comeback. What have you seen out of Moses Moody in this series? For a lot of the regular season, he wasn't really a guy that I didn't know if he was going to be playing, in the fourth quarter of playoff games.
I mean, I think a lot of it with Moses Moody is just that he can actually play. he can not be a disaster defensively in this series, and that means he gets some of those bench guard minutes. We've talked about it pretty extensively at this point. But Damian Lee in game two, Damian Lee in 5 minutes almost like at the time we thought lost the Warriors the game. Um, yeah, being a negative 12 in 5 minutes. Being a negative 12 in 5 minutes is the second craziest plus minus stat I've ever seen in a playoff game. It honestly is wild. For context, the craziest one would be game three. I'll never forget this shit. Game three of the 2017 NBA Finals. LeBron James was a +7 in 46 minutes. So all but 2 minutes of the game. And the Cavs lost by 5 in regulation. Like that's
JR game?
You said what?
That was the JR game. Which game was that?
Nah. That was the first KD pull up from the wing game.
Oh, game three.
Game three, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's like
God.
a +7 in 46 minutes, and you lose by 5 by multiple possessions in regulation. It's like what there's really just that was one of those that to me is one of those stats that kind of just if you didn't watch the game, or even if you don't necessarily know a ton about what's going on, that's one of those like this sums up like there's nothing else that this man can do.
Yeah, for sure. Right as we're talking about Moses Moody too, he gets a block on Luka, fouled on a drive, and then hits a three in the corner to push his lead up to 56-38. So big minutes from the rookie in this second quarter. You mentioned his defensive ability. He showed at Arkansas that he can also be, a pretty good scorer, even though he does have, room for improvement. But I feel like he's going to be a pretty good player. And, we're getting a little bit of taste of that with a couple of these young Warriors guys in this series.
Oh, yeah. I really liked Moses Moody as a prospect in college. Still like him now. I think that's a good basketball player. And I think Golden State is the perfect place if you are a young guard with shot making ability. In their offense, they'll in their offense, being able to move off the ball and move around without the ball is a skill you'll learn. I think you become a complete basketball player that way, Yeah. So like him, Jordan Poole, realistically, I don't think they're going to be able to keep everybody. I have a sneaky suspicion that Jordan Poole will be playing somewhere else in a few years, mostly because the Warriors won't be able to afford him. But
you think they'll have to choose between him or Wiggins, or you think that's something that's going to come, a few years down the line?
I think it comes a few years down the line, but I think the tough thing is, and Steve Kerr mentioned this when they acquired Andrew Wiggins after having D'Angelo Russell on the roster. But D'Angelo Russell, like the D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry thing was always tough, just from a perspective of it being three guards and those lineups being just a bit, small, right? So like as a part of their core, as a part of their closing lineups, Andrew Wiggins, from just a position standpoint and from the size standpoint, is probably a neater fit.
Yeah, Wiggins, is he a free agent this year?
Should be a year after, right?
Poole is extension eligible this year, right?
Yeah, he's extension eligible this year.
Okay, and so they're gonna have. I don't know if they're gonna have to make a decision between those two, but it's gonna be hard to pay what that would be 5 guys with pretty significant contracts at that point.
Oh yeah, some hard choices are gonna have to be made.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if any front office has earned our trust, I feel like the Warriors is one of them.
Yeah. I mean, they've definitely earned some benefit of the doubt here. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with 4 minutes left in this first half, Warriors up by 18. You want to talk about that Celtics versus Heat game 5 from last night?
Let's do it.
All right. So, we can talk about, the Celtics winning, going up 3-2, having a chance to close out the series tomorrow night at home. But, what did you just think of the entire game? It was the fewest points scored in the first half. in the Eastern Conference Finals in a long time. It was a pretty sloppy game. Miami's offense struggled for a lot of it. Just, what was your takeaways?
Boy, they wrestling out there. That shit is crazy.
Oh man.
That is you and I, as people who have played basketball together for a very long time. For those that don't know, Chaz and I have known each other for it's over a decade at this point now, right?
Oh, it is, yeah.
That's crazy to say, right? That's crazy. It's been over a decade. So Chaz and I have known each other for a while. We've played a good amount of basketball together. Let's say you're playing pickup. You get those games where there's trash talk going on. There's tons of physicality. If you're me, as a bigger guy, you deal with and see people who want to post you up. And it's like, under no circumstances am I letting this person post me up. I don't give a damn what they like. Fuck what they talking about. They're not posting me up. That's what last night felt like. Sometimes it can be, a little less about X's and O's and a little more about like who's going to be able to get to their spot, rise up, be a basketball player and put this ball in the basket, and like who's not getting scored on. And we know that both of these teams, Boston, Miami, are switch heavy. We've been saying it all series. It's gonna come down to a lot of just like whose primary scorers do that better score. With Tyler Hero out, I really don't see a path to Miami winning another game in this series, especially with the way Robert Williams has been playing, even in his limited minutes with the knee injury. And I think we got a lot of that last night. Jaylen Brown recovered from an extremely rough first half. God damn, he was turning the ball over. Recovered from that, played really well in the second half, put the ball in the basket. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like, well, Jimmy Butler is already the type of player that, relies on kind of bully ball out of the time and using his body to get to the lane and stuff. But with this injury, it seemed like he was having to do that even more. Kind of the same thing with Kyle Lowry, to an even lesser extent since he didn't even score. But, just it didn't seem like the Heat's offense was able to get what they wanted. And then Boston's was really struggling, for the first, I don't know, it was probably close to 30 minutes, really.
Yeah.
And I want to get your take on that 10-0 run that the Celtics had to end that third quarter. That seemed like when, the game obviously separated from a 1-point game. So I think they were up by 11 going to the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, again, big run. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, can't say enough about them. They both played very well in this playoffs. And you want the guys that you pay the most money to be able to take you home. And that's what you got from the 10-0 run and from the game in general last night. And I say all this with the caveat that Jason Tatum is clearly injured right now. I don't know if you last night see him grabbing at his shoulder a bunch. He doesn't look quite right. Even with that, we got games to win, I guess, right? But make some shots, make some plays. That's what you got from them last night.
Yeah, no doubt. You could see that he was in some discomfort, and that was obviously, some of the reason for his slow start. Which puts even more reliance on a guy like Jaylen Brown. The way that he played in those last 15 minutes or so, had several threes off the dribble. Making tough shots in the corners. Not to mention the dunk. Bam made a business decision on that one. Jaylen Brown got way up. That was sweet. What did you see from Brown last night? Just I think he led the team in scoring, and it seemed like that's when they really started to take off.
I don't know if somebody talked to him at halftime or what, but again, two different players, first half to second half. He was just brilliant in the second half, especially in that fourth quarter. It was shot making, finishing at the rim, splitting pick and rolls, get downhill. Yeah, I mean, I think like we've seen just how much Jaylen Brown's handle has improved over the years. It used to be a real hindrance for him when he was in college at Cal and like his say first 2 years in the league where he really just looked like an off-ball guy. Um, and we've seen him grow into what is clearly a primary scorer. Um, so I mean, you saw how it like I don't know what it was. Handle was so much tighter in the second half. That's really just what made all the difference. Klay Thompson isn't going to miss again today, huh?
It doesn't look that way.
I mean, if that's what we're doing, we might as well just pack it up.
Yeah, for real. And Draymond scoring these last couple minutes too. He had the nice finish in the lane there with the left hand off the high glass on the and one, and then he scored again a second later. So Warriors up 68-49. So as we're talking about the Celtics versus Heat, um, you know, with Miami's offense, struggling so much, they missed 13 straight shots at one point. I think they shot like 17% in that third quarter. Do you think there's any way that they win Game 6 tomorrow night on the road?
I just don't see it. I think Tyler Hero would have to play and give them a lot. And reportedly, the injury he's dealing with is a 2 to 4 week injury. This series doesn't have 4 weeks left or 2 weeks left. Whatever version of him that would play is probably going to be a severely hampered one. I also don't know how Miami makes this work with the bigs on the court. They need like the biggest issue is they really need to find a way to improve the spacing. Um, and with the bigs that they're throwing out there, with it being Bam, but like who are you playing next to him, right? Like
Mhm.
with like some of the injuries they've had, like PJ Tucker not being like completely healthy. Like, what are we doing? Like, is it Duncan Robinson we're throwing out there, maybe in the 3 or 4 spot? Like, I think they would love to get Duncan some minutes, but then obviously he becomes a pressure point for them defensively. And then it's like, okay, do we have to play more 2-3? Um, like, do we play Omar Yurt 7? Like, that probably isn't where we want to go. They'll probably get beat on the boards for doing that. Like nothing seems like a good option for them. And Dwayne Dedman's been a disaster in this series. So like that's not really working either. Where do we go?
Yeah, no doubt. It doesn't seem like they have many options at this point. Kyle, I said before that Game 5 last time we were on that I thought that backcourt needed to be really good for them to win that game. Max Strus and Kyle Lowry, the last two games are 1 of 28 from the field. That's obviously not going to cut it. And I feel like maybe, if Lowry is able to have a similar game to what he had the other night in Boston, maybe they could in Game 3, maybe they could stay in Game 6, but I just don't see them getting enough out of, the middle tier guys, let alone Jimmy Butler, who seems hobbled as well. I feel like Boston's going to come out with the energy that they need to take care of that one at home.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a bit of a crowning game for the Jays, and I mean, I think if you're Boston, you really want to get that over with. You like to get Robert Williams and Marcus Smart as much rest as humanly possible, and Jalen and Jason Tatum as much rest as humanly possible before the finals, right? So,
Yeah, no doubt. Let me just. So while we talk about the Celtics, it seems like they're going to be able to close out this series as we both predict tomorrow night. Let's kind of look ahead to the finals, a potential series between the Warriors and the Celtics, real quick. Something I noticed is Boston. It seems like they've been significantly better than Miami for good stretches of this series, but they've allowed the Heat to kind of stick in it. Kind of some erratic play at times. Turnover issues. When they're in the half court, they're outscoring the Heat by 12 points per 100 possessions. So I mean, if they weren't turning the ball over and allowing the Heat to score, in transition, then I feel like the series would probably be over by now with Miami struggles. Do you think that's something that the Warriors are going to be able to take advantage of potentially in the finals?
do I think the Warriors will be able to take advantage of Boston turning the ball over? Um, theoretically, yes. And an actual application. I think we've seen with the motion-based offense, the Warriors run. Everyone likes to call it carelessness. Some of it is just that there's a lot of reads, and sometimes the reads are. Sometimes people aren't on the same page. The Warriors turn the ball over a ton. If it is truly going to be a Warriors Celtics finals, I think there's a decent chance. We just end up seeing, and we'll probably get a game or two where there's like 45 combined turnovers.
Yeah, a lot of up and down play, a lot of both teams taking chances and stuff that those type of opportunities can create turnovers. But I don't know. What is your early opinion on those two teams if they were to match up? Beyond the Warriors trying to take advantage of the Celtics in transition.
What is my opinion of it?
Yeah, how do you think those two teams match up? Just when you kind of look at them on the surface.
I think the Warriors struggle with. I think the Warriors really only have one trusted wing defender, like trusted guy who can guard on the wing right now.
Wiggins.
And that's Andrew Wiggins, yeah. And the Warriors, or not the Warriors, sorry, the Celtics have two guys on the wing who can score. That's going to be a problem. I think that's where you start with those two teams. Andrew Wiggins can't guard both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Whoever he doesn't guard is going to have a matchup he's probably going to be able to take advantage of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's, both ways that, each team could make the other struggle at times. These are two of the better defenses. You just poked holes in, the Warriors defense, but they do have, guys like Wiggins and Draymond obviously inside who can create a lot of problems at times. And with a team like Boston, who, as we just talked about, they do have turnover issues at times. That might be something that they look to take advantage of. And I also think that, the Warriors I just think they more consistently get better shots than the Celtics. So, if that's something that they're going to be able to do throughout, even if, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are, having good games consistently, I just feel like the Warriors have more if everybody's clicking.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be a really good series, and if all holds, that's probably the series we're getting. I think that'll be a really good series, right? I'm obviously a huge believer in what Steph brings to the table, what Draymond brings to the table. I just think this is a Warriors team like this. It's just like the Celtics are just they're not a good matchup for anyone, but like all the stuff that the Warriors want to do, the Celtics can just switch. Like all the stuff the Warriors want to do offensively, the Celtics are just going to switch. They've got a ton of guys they can throw at Steph, like 5 guys, the different guys who like they'll be able to comfortably throw at Steph. In a lot of ways, this Celtics team, what they're going to do with Steph, it kind of reminds me of what the Warriors used to be able to do with LeBron, where like obviously you have the guys you want to primarily guard Steph. For the Celtics, I'm sure that'll be Marcus Smart. But like in the same way that with the Warriors in those finals matchups, it was always Andre Iguodala that they wanted to be the primary matchup with Bron. And a lot of times they would match Iggy's minutes to Bron's minutes. But like Klay Thompson could do the job, and Klay Thompson could do the job for stretches. Draymond Green could do the job for stretches. When they had him, Sean Livingston could do the job for stretches. And so all of those guys would see time on LeBron. And it's tough to make that work when they can just throw so many different bodies at you. And I think it's going to be a similar dynamic with Boston. They're going to be able to put Marcus Smart on him. Jason Tatum will probably see some time there. Derek White will probably see time there, although that's a less comfy matchup. Um, and even like Jaylen Brown will see some time there. So like we've got a lot of capable. They've got a lot of we'll say capable defensive players that they can throw at him.
Yeah, so you mentioned, both teams like to switch a lot. With two teams that do so, a lot of the times in close games late, we see, teams hunt mismatches. What are a couple guys on either side that you think will potentially get hunted if we do see the series?
So, and this is part of why, this is not going to be a spoiler alert to anybody who's been been tapping in with us over here. I'm going to pick the Celtics in that series.
Oh, you already are. You spoiled the pick.
Man, what? That's crazy. It's not like I picked the Celtics to win the title at the beginning of the playoffs or anything, or like I pretty much picked them to win the title in January.
Yeah.
But I know what? Oh no, I ruined everything. No suspense, no drama. Shame on me. Shame on me. Nah, like as far as late game and matchup hunting, we know Boston will do that. If anything, they have a tendency to do it too much. They have a very bad habit of running offense that gets them the lead or gets them out to big leads, and then when they get that big lead, they stop they stop doing the things that got them that big lead, and just try to maybe mismatch hunt or just go ISO with the Jays. That being said, the Jays are going to be hunting Steph Curry and Jordan Poole, and I think we know that, right? They'll be going at Steph Curry, and Jordan Poole the same way Dallas has tried to go at those guys. And on the flip side, this is where it's tough. Boston doesn't really have guys you can point to like that. Where you're like, oh, we're gonna run through this guy defensively. It'll be Peyton Pritchard whenever he's on the court, but he doesn't play a ton, and maybe Daniel Tice, and like Jaylen Brown is the worst. Jaylen Brown is the worst defensive player in Boston's starting lineup / closing five.
Yeah.
That's
what I was going to say. Neither of those guys are on the floor in closing time. So, if you are hunting those matchups, it's not something, where on the other side, guys like Steph Curry are obviously going to be on the floor in those final minutes.
And Jordan Poole, yep.
Yeah, I do think that, Jaylen Brown to obviously a lesser extent, I do think he has the ability, but I think he obviously can get taken advantage of as well at times. So, guys like Steph Curry are going to be able to, possibly get a step on him just because of his, creativity with the dribble.
Absolutely. But my thing is like the biggest issues Jaylen Brown has defensively are off-ball defense. And that's I don't know if they can quite mismatch hunt that the same way you can somebody who you can just get to the bucket on.
Right.
Yeah. So like we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So, we're obviously talking about the finals right now. Why don't we get our picks in for tomorrow night? So the Heat are going to Boston, trying to stave off elimination, force a Game 7 back in Miami. Boston's 8.5-point favorite. So who are you taking, and who are you taking against the spread?
That's a big number.
Yeah, Vegas. I think that's what probably Tyler Hero not expected to play at all, I would assume.
I'm also assuming he doesn't play. I'll take Boston, and I'll take Boston against that spread. I think they'll probably if there's no Tyler Hero, like Miami is going to scratch and claw and fight because that's what they do. They'll probably play great defense. Both teams will probably both be under 100 points. We might get a 2003 ass score tomorrow. That shit might be like 85-72 or something like that.
Yeah, that 93-80 last night wasn't too far off.
I don't understand how there are like people who watched basketball in the 90s and the early 2000s and will really with a straight face say that that's like the higher quality basketball than what we get now. I don't get that. I really don't.
I
I
mean, you
don't
might
think.
go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say you might have been, more entertained with it, or the nostalgia might be there, but the offensive flow to the game and just I feel like the overall entertainment value of just watching the game, it wasn't as like pleasurable as it is now.
Yeah, I mean, and I like the illegal defense rules change
Yeah.
everything. Um, and the fact that you can zone up now just makes like there's just schematically more that you have to do to be able to score. Um, so I don't really get like we were literally watching like one-on-one basketball, and like from a scheme perspective it was really easy to make that happen.
Hmm.
Like that's not like I think we get better pure basketball today.
Yeah,
And the role players in today's game are, you know, more skilled than the role players we got. Like Andrew Wiggins is a role player.
right. No, like I mean the guys like I don't know what probably three through the roster are really better than ever before.
Oh yeah, like the Michael Jordans of the world, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, would those guys would be great in any era, and I firmly believe that. But like the Scott Burrells of the world, like
Oh God, they
or
would be
like
they would be on the end of the G League roster.
Steve Kerr himself has even said like I couldn't play in today's game. I wouldn't have been able to make
Really,
it.
I don't know about that. I think he would be a defensive liability, but I feel like he could have carved out a role.
And I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm saying that Steve Kerr's opinion of what Steve Kerr was as a basketball player,
Right.
that if Steve Kerr was born 20 years later, he wouldn't have been able to make it in the NBA and carve out a consistent role for himself. He doesn't think he would have been able to play in today's game.
That's just Steve being self-deprecating.
On some level, probably he's was an elite shooter. Shooting
Yeah.
will keep you on the team even if
A
you.
smart player too.
Yeah, being able to shoot and being smart will have you'll stay with the job even if you aren't in the rotation. But like he's probably maybe you aren't in the rotation, you know.
Yeah,
Duncan Robinson got paid $90 million as getting 90 mil from Miami, and they're looking at him like,
yeah, that deal's not looking so great right now.
I mean, it's not looking great because he doesn't touch the court, and I think they could do a little bit more in the way of protecting him, like stealing
Yeah.
some more zone possessions. But like, I get why he's fallen out of favor a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we saw when he was really in the rotation in that 2020 run, they actually did have to go 2-3 a lot. Not only, to hide his defensive inabilities, also Goran Dragic, and just, the team was playing better, when they threw out zones randomly against the Bucks and the Lakers and whatnot. But, we've seen the complete opposite this title or this, playoff run for the Heat where he's barely even been able to crack minutes, in close games.
Yeah, and I mean, by nature, Miami wants to play. Like Miami plays a lot of zone. They've been one of the most zone heavy teams in the league for years now. That's part of what they want to do from a scheme perspective to be able to throw different looks at people. But I mean, yeah, like when we have to go zone because of like really one guy in particular, that's tough. That's tough to make work, especially if we feel like we have other wings who can give us, you know, a a, a good enough approximation of the shooting with being able to, make things work defensively. I see why you might be tempted to just go there. I see why you might be tempted to just say like, I see why you might just be like, we're just gonna play PJ. We're just gonna play PJ Tucker. We're just gonna play like Victor Oladipo over you, or I get it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Max Strus was getting a ton of those minutes because, he was, he's a little bit better of a defender than Duncan Robinson. But we're going to jump back into this Golden State Warriors versus Dallas Mavericks game as they hit the second half. You got your picks in real quick, so I'll get into mine. I'm going to take Boston as well. I'll take them -8.5. Last question before we move back to this game is the over-under is 201. We were talking about both teams being, right around 90 to 100. That's exactly what Vegas is thinking. Do you think that's a number that they're going to go over?
The over-under for tomorrow? Or?
Yeah, Celtics Heat tomorrow night, 201.
Oh, man, I'll take the under. Yeah, I'll take the under.
I hope it's over, but you're probably right. Both teams are probably going to be right around 90.
I think we should all be hoping we get the over. I just don't think we're getting the over.
Yeah, I agree for sure. All right, so we're going to jump back into this Warriors Mavericks game. As the Warriors attempt to clinch a sixth finals appearance in the last 8 years. We'll take a quick break before we do that. So, make sure to check out our YouTube, Spotify, Twitter pages, and also, like, subscribe, and comment on this video. We're going to be going live throughout the entire playoffs. We got the finals started next week. So, be sure to tune in and check out our content. You can get all that in the description box.
Oh, man.
Go ahead.
Nah, I mean, it's just 6 finals in 8 years is everybody wants to hate everything today, and find a reason why it's not impressive. That's impressive, It's not a walk in the park. Making the finals is really hard. Deep playoff runs every year, that's really hard to do. And 6 finals in 8 years, you can't do anything but respect it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we'll talk about this game in a second, but, a lot of people have compared, this Warriors run to the Spurs and just how they see, the teams fit, their systems, everything. Steve Kerr, obviously learning a lot from Greg Popovich with his time in San Antonio. But, the ability to kind of extend, as Draymond with a nice behind the back pass to Klay Thompson, wide open 3, drills it. So Warriors go up 74-53. Klay's got a huge smile on his face. Forces another timeout. But, just obviously the ability to extend a dynasty, is something that you don't really ever see. The Spurs were able to do that with a few titles and then 2 more runs after that. Just what do you think of the Warriors? A lot of people thought that after they lost to the Raptors in 2019 that they might never get back.
Yeah, I mean, you lose to the Raptors in 2019, you see Kevin Durant leave, you see Klay Thompson tear his ACL, and then tear his Achilles the year after. And I mean, the Achilles injury is one that nobody heals from that, right? That's how it generally is. The list of guys who have gone on to be successful in this sport after an Achilles tear is not big. And then you have Klay Thompson, who is definitely still productive post Achilles tear, even if he's not to quite the same level of athlete he was before. Again, you can't do anything. You can't do anything but respect it. Especially got to tip the cap to Steph, because that's, him and Draymond are really the engines that make this thing work.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's just crazy to see how much, talent they've been able to build around these guys in the last couple of years. The fact that Steph Curry has 5 points, 1 for 5 in a closeout game, and you're up by 21. I mean, there's so much talent on this roster. And even when, he isn't playing his best, we've seen at times this year where, he isn't shooting like we think that, he should be able to, or that we've seen in the past. But, this team is 8, 9 guys deep probably, and it just seems like somebody is usually able to step up. And obviously in a big spot here in Game 5.
Yeah, no, I mean, your best player has 5 points. You're up by 21. There's not a ton else to say. You got a very good roster at that point. They've been able to get stops. They've been able to force a lot of turnovers tonight. They're turning that into points. It feels like every time down the court. Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive what you're getting from them. And again, I think the low post split series has been like largely successful from them. I think what we're seeing, a lot of those screens are being set with like Kevon Looney, right? Where we don't really, nobody's viewing Kevon Looney as a threat to shoot from the 3-point line or do much with the ball out there. But what's happening is because Kevon Looney's man is in the paint, every time Kevon Looney is going to set that screen off the low post split, Kevon Looney, like whoever's coming off that screen, and it's been Klay Thompson a few times, and Steph a few others, whoever's coming off that screen is getting either a look for a shot, or they're essentially able to catch the ball in motion and attack with a head of steam, a big who's essentially at that point in drop coverage and flat footed. And either way, that favors the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, they've been getting quality shots in the half court. And then, as you mentioned, too, the Mavericks have been turning it over, too. So, like Klay just got that wide open shot in the corner there. It just seems like they're getting great shots every time down. And, guys like Klay, Poole, Wiggins, and Draymond are all double-digit points. They've combined for 54. The Mavericks only have 53 as a team. So, that's a big reason why the Warriors have built this 54-53 point lead. 9:42 left in this third quarter. What do you think there's any way that the Mavericks get back into this game? Luka is 2 for 13 right now. Would it take a special performance from him, or do you just think that they just kind of got to get, some of these shots to start falling? Dinwiddie is really the only guy that, has had any real success tonight.
I think this one is probably over.
Yeah, it looks that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's probably over. I think Dallas is gassed. I think this one's just over. I don't know that there's much that they can do. I think there was always going to be a game or two where there was just going to be nothing. There was just going to be nothing they could do. I think that's where we're at tonight.
Yeah, you said it before the game. You thought if the Mavericks were going to be able to keep it close, they might be able to win, but you thought there was a good chance that the Warriors would be able to pull away, and that's exactly what we've seen tonight as they built a 22-point lead. Still pretty early in the second half, but it does have that feel like they're just a few minutes away from kind of wrapping it up already.
Yeah, I think it's getting late early for this one. What a shame. I know a lot of people will complain another blowout, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few playoffs, I feel like that were kind of blowout heavy. And then they led to, a classic finals. So maybe we're in store for something like that.
Oh, I think the dueling styles between the Warriors. I think the dueling style between the Warriors and the Celtics will make for a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. That's probably what we're going to see. And, if we're both right with what we're thinking, as Wiggins hits a nice turnaround shot, if the Warriors finish it out tonight and then Boston closes out tomorrow, we would have maybe 4 or 5 days of rest and anticipation for that game one. That would be, where would that be? In State, right?
So what?
Yeah,
where would that game be?
Yeah, it would be San Francisco. They had 53 wins. Boston had 51.
Yeah. I've always kind of jokingly said to myself, if the Warriors made the finals, that for those of you that don't know, I am in the Bay Area. Like I live out here. Chaz is in Michigan. Um, I've kind of jokingly been like, if the Warriors make the finals, I might have to go to a game just to see what like being at the finals is like. I might have to seriously think about that now.
Yeah, you got to at least check into the tickets, but those are going to be steep for the first finals game at Chase.
Oh, they're gonna be extremely steep. Plus, it's Chase, so like from a socioeconomic perspective, Oracle, where the Warriors used to be, that's in Oakland. That's where like the actual Warriors fans are. Not that there aren't people who really like the Warriors in San Francisco, but like Oracle was where the Warriors were for 45 years when it was like not a good organization for most of that time. Um, you know, they won titles. Steph made them, a big ticket item, made them profitable, and they took all that and said, well, we can be in a quote unquote nicer arena, quote unquote nicer place. They moved to downtown San Francisco. I've been to the Chase Center multiple times. It's a nice venue, but like, it's a difference between like people who grew up with this team and like love the Warriors and like have the area as part of their like who they are as a person, and like tech money. So the Chase Center is tech money. I say all that to say like those ticket prices are probably about to be crazy.
Thousands.
Yeah. I gotta look.
Yeah, for sure. You got to at least take a look at it.
It just might be kind of steep. I'll say I'll look, but y'all might just see me back here on this street with my
Right.
this is fine background instead of at Chase Center.
Right. Our viewers will know if you're not here, you'll be there.
If I'm not here, I'll be there. If you see me here, assume I looked at the price. Assume I looked at the ticket prices and said, and I quote, "Y'all got me fucked up."
Maybe another year.
Maybe another year. Yeah. Hey, I mean, again, 6 finals in 8 years. So like it might not be it's not too far-fetched to think that this would be an opportunity I might get again in the near future.
Yeah, no doubt. Just we can talk about that and then get back in this game when we get back from the commercial break. But do you see this Warriors dynasty continuing on? We already talked about they're going to face some financial decisions, at some point coming up in the near future. But they also have a ton of talent, young talent, developing guys too. So.
I mean, I think they've got young talent. I think you prioritize as far as young guys in draft. Finding another wing defender is probably like what you really want to do. Like any 3-and-D guy who's like 6'6" would be huge for these guys. I think we'll see things continue to be good and continue to see them score here and continue to see them, make deep playoff runs, largely because like Jordan Poole is kind of the perfect bridge between adding a little bit more primary shot creation and spontaneity into their offense, which you really need which you really need to get to those later rounds, and you especially need to win those later rounds. And they don't have to make a decision on him yet, and they don't have to kind of face the music there quite yet. So like I'll say that there are more deep playoff runs in their future. I won't quite say that the dynasty will keep going or they're going to win this many championships or any of that, but they're not. They're. I think they're very clearly not going anywhere. And this is without me mentioning Jonathan Kuminga, who has a insanely high ceiling. So.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, who knows if they're going to make it back to the finals or win another ring or anything after this year. But I feel like they're going to be consistently good. We're not going to see another, 2-year drop off like we did. That was only because of the injuries. I feel like they stay healthy these next few years, until Steph, Klay, and Draymond, really start to, kind of see the end of their prime. Then, maybe we'll see this team, kind of take a drop off, on contention. But I feel like until then, they're going to be, right around the top of the league for these next few years.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear they're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah, so we'll jump back into this game in a second. Just one more question to wrap up this kind of, looking forward for the Warriors. This would be their 12th finals appearance, third all time. Do you think they are that, third best franchise behind, obviously the Lakers and Celtics get so much talk. And then, franchises like the Bulls and the Spurs do as well. Do you think the Warriors, have surpassed those type of franchises?
Do I think the Warriors have surpassed the Bulls and whoo, man.
And the
I mean,
Spurs and the, I'll throw the Pistons in there.
you gonna do that to us?
Hey, we're a top 10 franchise of all time.
100%. It's bad too because we're a top 10 franchise of all time, and that's like even with the last 10 years included.
Right. Yeah.
Man. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the last 10 years of Pistons basketball.
Hey, while we're on the Pistons real quick, did you see the Cade Cunningham Slam magazine cover?
Hard. That shit was hard.
Yeah, shout out to Cade, bro.
It's awesome too. With I guess now we're segging into the Pistons a little bit. It's great that Cade. I never had a doubt that he was going to be really good for what it's worth. My pre-draft comp for him was like, I don't want to compare people to Luka because like you see what Luka is. That's like a high bar. So my pre-draft comparison with him was basically like Ben Simmons with a jumper. But Ben Simmons with a jumper is Luka. So you know, yeah. There's like maybe a step down from Luka, but that's still easily a player you can build around. The nice thing about having a 6'8" primary shot creator is that you can basically flank him with any kind of player.
Yep.
And as long as they're productive basketball players in some capacity, you can make it work. You can have smaller guards, and that's fine. You can have 3-and-D guys, and that's fine. You can have, like Al-Farouq Aminu types where they're on the wing and they guard people. And then you have like these big-ass switchable lineups, and that's fine. There's just so many different ways you can take it because the guy you're building around is 6'8".
Yeah, I mean, you could already tell in that rookie season that, anybody can really fit next to him. And that's obviously something that Troy Weaver is going to try and, pair him with, somebody out of this draft. I just feel like anybody, that is in their draft range is going to be able to play next to Cade, which is, is just such a good thing. And I feel like that's why the Pistons do have, a glimmer of hope.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jaden Ivey, or like if you think Shaden Sharp can guard people, there's so much unknown with him because, he's hasn't really played competitive basketball in a minute. And the last time we saw him was in high school.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, Shaden Sharp is a good example of what I'm talking about. 6'5" and a quarter with like a 6'11", with like a +5 wingspan, over a 6'11" wingspan. It's gonna be size and length in the backcourt. Like there's so much you can do with that. And I think we always see it in playoff time. It's really hard. It tends to be really hard for small guards to survive in the playoffs just because like defensively you can really only have so much of an effect when you're small and you have short arms, right? So like even if you aren't necessarily always in the right place, you can have an impact defensively with just sheer size and length, which is why we see so many teams prioritize those traits. Sometimes to their detriment, but like it's not an accident that there are whole teams like Orlando and like Milwaukee, whose whole thing is just like we're gonna be team wingspan.
Right. Just get a bunch of guys, tall, long arms, can play 3 or 4 positions. I don't know if that's what the Pistons are going for, but obviously with Cade, they're off to a good start where they can fit in the guys around him that can play multiple spots. And I feel like that just gives you so much freedom when you are building a team, to have somebody like that as your corner piece.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for whoever they do end up drafting in the first round. Probably got to make sure it's somebody who's got a little bit more giddy up in the tank, like athleticism, explosiveness. Since their first 2 picks have been Cade Cunningham, who, as much as I love him, is probably never going to be like a super explosive NBA athlete, and he'll never need to be. But like he's probably never going to quite be that. And then Killian Hayes definitely isn't that.
No.
So like whoever it is next, like that's probably like something they'll want to. That's probably a trait that they'll really be seeking out here. If I had to guess, if Jaden Ivey is there when they pick, that'll be the pick.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. As Luka's looks like he's grabbing his tooth. He might have got popped in the mouth on that foul right there. But they're down by 23 as Klay Thompson got into the lane. Oh yeah, Klay got him good on the chin right there. But yeah, I was just thinking about it. Hamidou Diallo had, one of his better career years. Just an ability to get out and transition, playing off of Cade, as well as just having the attention, on one specific guy opens up so much more for other guys like that. You put somebody like Jaden Ivey or Shaedon Sharpe in that position, and I feel like they can really thrive.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's funny. I really did not like Hamidou Diallo as a prospect. But I think it's just you've all heard me complain about Chaz is laughing because he already knows where this is going. You've all heard me complain about Kentucky. Yeah. That system makes nobody look good. We'll just put it that way. Yeah. So Hamidou Diallo gets to be outside of the John Calipari system, and wow, look at that. He develops, and now he looks like a real NBA rotation player, which he really did not look like in college. There's a reason why he ended up getting taken as low as he did, despite the physical tools he has.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know if he's going to be back next year. I think he's a free agent for the Pistons. He might be a guy that they look to replace, but it was kind of good to see a player like that have some success in this system, because I feel like those are going to be the type of guys that Weaver does look to add over these next couple of years next to Cade. We probably should get back to this Warriors game. I will say we should probably do like a Pistons corner or something, because we never get to talk about Detroit. But I do feel like this draft is a good opportunity for them to continue to build.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, Luka hits a step back 3. It looks like he might have a little more energy after he got popped in the mouth. It's down to 16. So, Steve Kerr calls timeout 92-76 with 2:39 left in this third quarter. We talked about it's going to be an uphill climb, obviously, for the Mavericks to get back into this game. But it does feel like, maybe they are one more run away from actually putting a little bit of pressure on the Warriors. So how do you think the Mavericks can continue to kind of at least make it competitive?
I mean, you've heard me talk about making shots all series. I think here it starts on the defensive end. They have not gotten stops tonight. Everything Golden State is doing is working, whether that's the high post splits, the dribble handoffs, the low post splits. Like every action Golden State is running is netting them clean looks tonight. It's got to start there. It's got to be, guard your yard, better switches, all of it. And then, I mean, if you can get some stops, then we can talk about, offense. But like get some stops.
Yeah, they allowed 69 points in that first half, and then the Warriors kind of continued that to start this third quarter. But it does seem like they've tightened up a little bit in these last few minutes, and have cut the lead down to 16. As we come back from this break, the Warriors are going to continue to kind of tighten it up over these next couple minutes to end this third quarter and put it back out of reach. What would you like to see from the Warriors as Klay Thompson, who's kind of been their go-to guy tonight? He takes a seat right now. So, do you want to see Steph Curry maybe to get involved a little bit? He's kind of been the only guy that doesn't really seem right tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the move. I think you want to see Steph take them home. You want to see the best player on their roster get it going. I think right now, it's tough. It's if you're the Warriors, you might be asking yourself like, do we go Steph and Poole? Maybe you do. The offensive pressure you put on them is significant, but then you give the Mavericks two places where they're going to attack defensively, and Steph, like, it hasn't gone super noticed, but Steph has messed up a decent amount of the zone rotations, the rotations out of zone in this series, to the point where, like, maybe you just want to play Steph and not him and Jordan Poole. Have to worry about when you're trying to bring it home, at least for the next few minutes.
Yeah, so as we look in here, the Mavericks have cut into this lead a little bit. Luka with a nice step back to get Wiggins, to get some separation from Wiggins, drills it. Luka's back down with a floater right there to cut this lead all the way down to 9. So a 14-0 run in the last 3 minutes has really flipped this game around to at least have the Mavericks within striking distance. 50 seconds to go in this quarter as the Warriors look to response. They haven't scored since the 4-minute mark.
It probably won't happen, but I'm telling y'all, if Dallas wins tonight, I'll be insufferable.
And, and a shot clock violation right there. So, I mean, a score right here, and Dallas is really in this game going to the fourth quarter.
And then at that point, it's I won't quite say it's anybody's game, but just, the amount of confidence that we're playing with, the amount of confidence they're playing with. You already see it right now. They're just moving with a kind of a different spirit.
Yeah, on both ends too. You see Luka bouncing a little bit on defense. Like, that's been something that, during the Phoenix series as well. Like, when he was playing like that, it was really completing their defensive attack. Luka fouled again there on the dribble drive. So he's going to go to the line in the bonus with a chance to cut this down to 7.
Yeah, I mean, again, it starts with the defense. On the other end, you're seeing more active hands. It's not a ton of stuff they're changing. You're seeing cleaner switches, people guarding their yard. You saw a strip from Luka. They're even putting more pressure up further away from the ball. You're just seeing better basketball from Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, Maxi Kleber getting swished out on Jordan Poole, forcing him not get any separation, and then Poole with the shot clock, or I don't even know if they called it a travel or shot clock violation, but great defense that whole possession. These last 6 or 7 minutes, Dallas has definitely turned it up, and now it's down to as Lucas takes his second free throw, 92-84.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we end up seeing here, like, Maxi Kleber is a much better defender than he gets credit for, and he's really somebody who does do a good job of moving his feet. If I had to guess, this game has the feel. Steph will probably be on the bench to start the fourth quarter because that's his normal rotation. And for better or for worse, Steve Kerr really likes to stick to those rotations. I think Klay Thompson will probably come back in this game at some point, and Klay Thompson will obviously be coming back in the game. But what I'm trying to say is this has the feel of a game where it gets close. Klay Thompson comes back in and ultimately hits, made enough shots, to have the Warriors close this out. But like they just went on a 14-0 run. You can't feel good about this right now, especially because Luka is making the tough shots that we normally see him make that he hasn't been putting down tonight. I think from a body language perspective, he's somebody who, if you care about that kind of thing, read into it. Sometimes he gets frustrated. He's very competitive. His fire runs very hot. When he has a bounce in his step, it's noticeable. Because when Luka's playing at his best, when he's playing at his best, he seems to take joy in embarrassing people and ripping their heart out. You're kind of getting that from him right now with the low pep in his step.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it in that game 7, him just laughing at Phoenix, and he's not doing the laughing right now, but he looks locked in, and I don't know how much he scored in that third quarter right there, but he did enough in those last 4 minutes to get them right back in it.
Or those Clippers, or those series with the Clippers.
Yep.
They lost those series, but like,
oh yeah,
every time down the court, score on Patrick Beverley and like make sure the whole world knows he's too small. Or like anytime Marcus Morris got switched onto him, they go at Marcus Morris, basically turn to the camera, break the fourth wall type shit, and then be like, he can't guard me. And like, can't really say nothing because like that man has 45 tonight. You can't guard him.
Yeah, to this day, you see Pat Bev saying Luka's one of the only guys that he can't defend.
I mean, and really, it's you would see it in that series, but Luka was literally catching, ripping, and just attacking, and there's nothing Patrick Beverley can do because there's such a significant size disadvantage.
Yeah,
there was such a significant size disadvantage between the two of them. Luka was, there were a few possessions where they get that switch and Luka would, post him up. He wouldn't even really try to establish post position, like deep post position. He might catch it at 15, but once he caught it at 15, he was just going to rip and go before help could come.
Yeah. So, the Mavericks just made that 15-2 run to end that quarter right there to cut this lead down to 94-84. Going to the fourth quarter, you mentioned that Steve Kerr is likely going to have Stephen Curry on the bench to start this fourth quarter. Do you think Klay Thompson will be on the court?
I think Klay might be out too. If I had to guess, I'll guess that Klay comes back because Klay was just seated. He'll probably count that as enough of, quote unquote, enough of a rest. I think Klay's normal rotation is that he starts the fourth quarter. So I imagine Klay will be out there for the fourth quarter. But I would bet, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money Stephen Curry will be on the bench to start this fourth quarter. So,
yeah, I would assume so too. On the other side, Jay Kidd, do you ride Luka? On this hot streak, he had 15 that quarter. Do you keep him in, or do you try and give him a quick rest, bring him back, for the home stretch? It looks like he is on the court to start the fourth. Do you think that's the right call?
I was gonna say I think you got to just let this lineup ride as many minutes as they can. You just went on a 15-0 run before Jordan Poole, finished at the rim at the end of that quarter there. They got the break in between the third and the fourth quarter. That's gonna have to be your break for now.
Right. Yep. They got Frank Ntilikina back on the court, so he's somebody that's probably going to play a few minutes and then get subbed out. But the other four guys, might finish this game. Klay is on the court, and then we saw Wiggins get right to the bucket, and Draymond back-to-back possessions. Draymond with an and one pushes the lead up to 98-84. So Steph on the bench, and the Warriors get the first 2 buckets of the quarter.
Steph on the bench, though.
Yeah, that was a nice play from Wiggins too. Rip through, got right to the baseline. By the time the help got over, it was over.
Oh yeah, he's been huge. He's been huge in this series. Not much else to say about him, but tip your cap to All-Star game starter Andrew Wiggins.
Right. Did a great job on defense right there too. Was playing Luka up at half court, and then him and Bielitsa did a great job of blitzing Luka, forcing the ball out of his hand. Frank Ntilikina missed the open three, but
He does that.
yeah, but that was great defense from Wiggins right there to force the ball out of Luka's hands.
Absolutely.
Dinwiddie did get fouled, so he's at the line. He gets the first points for the Mavericks of the quarter. This is obviously with their season on the line. They got to kind of throw the whole kitchen sink right now. What do you want to see from them? Not in terms of scheme, but just energy and how do they get back into this game? Not only getting open shots, but how are they going to be able to force turnovers or really stop Golden State from being able to score?
I mean, I think it comes from a lot of what you saw at the end of that third quarter. Like we can talk about scheme all we want. They've shown that they really want to switch. Generally speaking, take pride in not giving up that bucket. Take pride in guarding the yard and getting a stop on the guy in front of you. I think that's where it's gotta start for them, and if it doesn't start there, their season will end tonight. That was a bar. I just need us all to acknowledge that was
For
that was
sure.
a bar. That was a bar right there. We don't write this stuff. It's off the dome. Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to review that one. Steve Kerr is already calling for the challenge. They called Draymond for an offensive foul as he tried to set a screen to free up Poole on a DHO.
Yeah, we're
they're going to review it. Yeah, they're going to commercial. So Steve Kerr did challenge that one.
for sure. Little behind you, so I'll give my thoughts on whether that was an offensive foul or not when I get there.
Yeah, let me know. Just jump in when you see it. If you think Draymond did move as he went to set that screen.
Oh, you'll never have to worry about telling me to jump in or give my opinion on something. But you already knew that, so.
Yeah, definitely. It does seem like the Warriors have been able to, attack the basket to start this quarter. Not only did Wiggins get there for that dunk, but Draymond has also been right around. Draymond's had a great night tonight, 15-9 and I think he has 15-9 and 6, I believe. Yeah, he's been huge tonight. He hasn't missed a shot. Obviously we know what Draymond is as a player, but it's always good to see him have a game like this because, we don't see him score, double digits even that much very often.
That's hilarious that Luka drop wasn't a foul. But no,
yeah, that was a nice shot too.
Yeah. No, you're right, 1,000%. That is, okay. I'm there. That is not an offensive foul. Jesus Christ, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even a little bit. But Draymond's been great tonight. We're seeing that off of a lot of those off-ball screens and pin downs. Right now, Dallas is committing 2 to the ball, especially when it's Klay Thompson. I think that's where you're seeing the Warriors be able to get to the bucket. They're not trying to let Klay Thompson end their season, so it ends up being Draymond Green catching at the head of steam. To his credit, he's going to the rim, going up strong, and he's finishing and getting fouled. So.
Yeah, he is. He's, looked every bit of what we imagine Draymond Green being. Not only the 5 for 5 from the field, also 4 for 4 from the line. So great night from Draymond. Also, like you mentioned, Klay, has been phenomenal tonight. He has 27 on 7 of 12. Maybe he'll get a couple of looks in this fourth quarter as the Warriors try and clinch, as we mentioned earlier, 6th finals berth in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Still at a commercial break, but I expect that they'll have that call made by the time we get back. So you expect that one to be overturned?
Yeah, I expect that to be overturned. I think I just didn't see a foul there. That seemed pretty clear to me. How do you feel about that one, Chess?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like when he was going to hand the ball off, that right leg was moving a little bit, but it still seemed like the screen was pretty square. I don't know. They're back. I'm waiting to see what the call was, but yeah, they're showing that Luka shot again too. I'm surprised that wasn't the end one.
I thought that one was very clearly a foul. So maybe that was a makeup call coming down the other way on that handoff screen and all that. But man,
Yeah, it might have been. It was a unsuccessful challenge though. So 101-87 as Dallas goes back down on offense.
all righty. That's Scott Foster.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on the when they release those finals referee schedules because got to see what game Scott Foster's on.
He makes me roll my eyes a lot.
Yeah. Always just got to keep an eye on what games he's going to be calling because those games are he's always going to have an impact somewhere or another.
Oh, he always does. If Chris Paul or the Houston Rockets are involved in that game at all, you could basically just it's an L. You can just take that to the bank.
As Klay and Luka trade layups right there, so it's still a 14-point advantage. Luka definitely has woken up in this second half. He's up to 25. As I said, he had 15 in that third quarter alone. It's kind of hard to say, but do you think if Luka would have been able to have that type of impact in the first half, would they be closer than they are right now? I mean, I don't know what he shot in that first half, but only had 6 points in the first two quarters.
I mean, he definitely. I mean, I want to say he was 2 for 10 in the first quarter. We see he normally comes out looking to score. Just tonight, couldn't put the ball in the basket early. Like you said, he's got the bounce in his step now. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that if he makes more shots early on, then this game looks different. It's always very interesting to me as an aside here. Always very interesting to me watching Jaylen Brunson. Love his game. It's just funny to me that for such a good 3-point shooter, he refuses to shoot off the dribble threes.
Yeah, you think it's just because he's always, dribbling and trying to see, it seems like he's always in the pick and roll so much that he's just kind of decision making and trying to see which way the defender leans and stuff. He's not always looking for that pull up three.
But even when he has when he has room to shoot the pull up three, it's not for whatever reason for him. That's just not. Yeah, it's just not a shot he'll take.
Yeah, that could be something that he could definitely work on because, like you said, he has it in him. Like he's a good shooter. He has a good touch. If he can continue to improve his 3-point shot, like that could really complete his offensive game.
Absolutely. It's not like he's somebody who has like a long release or like has a super low release point to where he like probably can't take those shots. He could, he just chooses not to. That's hilarious that All-Star game starter Andrew Wiggins had what looked to me like a pretty clear dump off of the straight line drive to Kevon Looney and decided that wasn't where the day was taking him. All right, Kevon Rodman as he grabs another offensive rebound. Good Lord.
Yeah, 2 on that same possession.
Can't give them extra possessions. It's yeah. Shout out to Reggie Bullock and shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie hitting that 3. I say shout out to Reggie Bullock because that was very clearly an illegal screen and they just decided to not call it. He didn't even pretend to set a real screen. He just threw his arms out and pushed somebody. But cool.
Yeah, that was a nice shot by Dinwiddie too. He felt the defender's hand reach in and just pulled up, nailed the three ball too. He got fouled here too, knocked down a couple of free throws. So I think he's up to 25 or so. And the Mavericks down by 13. They're still somewhat in striking distance, but it just seems like the Warriors are one run away from really clinching this.
They're not really in striking distance. Steph comes back in like a minute and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
7 minutes to go. They're down by as Klay takes a corner from the three. Sorry, three from the corner. It's long though. So Warriors still up 108 to 95. Dinwiddie fouled on a three though. So he's gotten fouled 3 times in the last minute and a half or so, and he's going to have a chance to cut it back to 11. I'm sorry, 10 if he makes all three.
I mean, don't foul 3-point shooters, but this is usually about the point where Steph comes back in. I know I kind of just said that. I wouldn't be surprised if before these 3 free throws are up, he's already at the scorer's table. And then obviously he finishes the game from here. He finishes the game, and we'll probably we'll see what happens. They're still in striking distance, but winning the rest of this game by 10 points is a pretty tough ask.
Right. Elite's like you said, crowded Dinwiddie on the shot right there. So he knocks down all 3 free throws. I'm sorry, missed the last one. So it's 108 to 97. And, like you said, Steph did check back in. So you expect him to finish this game. Jordan Poole checked out, so they keep Bielitsa and Kevon Looney on the court. Draymond is still on the bench as they have the 11-point lead.
Yeah, I expect Steph to finish the game and go off from here. It'll be very interesting to see if and when Jordan Poole comes back in the game. I'm a little behind you, so I'm waiting to see if I'll have complaints about this foul that they called on the 3-point shot. Let's see. Yeah.
I thought he got into him, right?
I mean, yes, but like Steph Curry has this right here. What happened with the elite, so that happens to him like 8 times a game. And Steph does not get to shoot like 24 free throws a night.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that one seemed a little questionable. Looney with another offensive rebound, but they can't convert it. Luka with the ball down by 13. He's gonna looks like he's trying to take Bielitsa one-on-one. Spin move into the lane, comes up short. Looney with another rebound.
I can't say enough about what Kevon Looney's been in these playoffs. He's always been a player who I've really liked and really thought of as an underrated guy, largely because he's one of the best. Even though he doesn't look like it, well, he doesn't quite move like it. He kind of moves like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. Kevon Looney is one of the best switch bigs in the NBA. And we've seen him prove it against like some of the best perimeter scorers in the league in like high leverage playoff series. He does this, but the offensive rebounding has never been at this level. And it's like, yeah, I don't know what it was. Like Dennis Rodman, like infected his soul or some shit.
Yeah, for a couple of these games, I think it was game 2, right? He had the 20-point. I think he had 12 rebounds or so. He's had several games. Also going back to last series, didn't he have the 22 rebounds or whatever it was that one game?
That was game 6, yeah.
Against Memphis, yeah. Just his effort on the glass is just, it's just phenomenal. You got to appreciate that game in and game out.
Oh, he won them game 6.
Yeah. So as we have 5:28 left in this fourth quarter, We'll take one more break before we come back. We talk about the Warriors potentially clinching, their 6 finals in the last 8 years. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and comment on YouTube. You can also find full episodes of the Spoken Truth podcast on Spotify. Also, make sure to follow us on there and on Twitter as well. All the information is going to be in the description box. We'll be right back after this break. All right, 5:28 to go. You ready to jump back into it for the final stretch?
Let's do it.
Sounds good. So like we were talking about, 5:28 left in this fourth quarter. The Warriors hold on to a 110-97 lead. Like you said, this game is probably over. But the Mavericks are, at least they are showing some fight down this fourth quarter. They got back into it in that late third quarter. What do you think is going to happen in these next 5 minutes? I know you think the Warriors are going to be able to clinch it, but do you think the Mavericks cut this lead back down to single digits at any point?
Sure. I mean, I think at this point it's pretty much all academic, minus like a few dumbass turnovers. It's probably academic, but I could see it getting to single digits. That's 2 stops and 2 makes.
Yeah, I mean that has to be, their goal at this point to potentially cut this lead down to 10 and lower, in the next minute or two, and they really put some pressure on the Warriors in the final minutes. As we come back from this break, TNT shows the graphic that Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry have played the same amount of playoff games, 128 each.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of deep finals runs for both of those guys.
That is a lot of deep playoff runs, and those deep playoff runs, like those, take a lot out of you. So there's again, you have to have a really healthy respect for just being available for those.
Yeah, no doubt. Out of the timeout, Curry had to take it from almost half court with the shot clock running down, but Warriors come up short on that first possession out of the timeout. So Dallas rushes it up under 5 minutes to go, trying to keep their season alive. Warriors are trying to clinch a spot in the finals. Luka drives. Looks like it's going to be a 3 from, who is that? Steph with the block. Wow, just great rotation from the Warriors. With as good as they are on offense, they don't always get the appreciation that they do deserve on defense.
Oh yeah,
and they were just chasing guys off the 3-point line in that possession, forcing swings. On the rotation, 2 guys were there. Looney and Curry were there to contest the shot. Just great defense right there.
I mean, through their playoff runs, it's been an elite defensive roster. I think right now it's less of an elite defensive roster. And I think that's ultimately why, if they advance on to the next round, like we're expecting them to do at this point, they will end up losing. But like, they're not just outscoring people to win these titles. They only won 1 final series that was just them scoring more points than the other team. And as we talked about the other night, that was the 2017 series, where the Cleveland Cavaliers had the second best offensive performance at that point of any team in NBA Finals history. Is just that number 1, unfortunately, happened to be the team they were playing against.
Right. As Luka drills another step back 3 on the wing right there, and it's back down to a 10-point lead. And Draymond also checked back into the game during that break. So Looney included, the Warriors have their closing lineup back on the court. And there's Draymond, comes up big right away with a floater. They were shading towards Steph Curry. obviously out on the perimeter. It opened up the middle of the floor, and Draymond took advantage with the dribble drive and a floater. Up
Yeah, I
to
mean, he like Draymond's been huge all night. Again, a little tough. I'm on tape delay, but Draymond's been huge all night off of the again the short rolls. Immediately you see two committed to the ball, he knows to make himself a target, and that he'll be able to from there decide whether he's going to shoot, pass, or what have you, and make the read out of there. I think what we've seen him do a really nice job with in this playoffs, and a lot of this season is that he's been more aggressive and more willing to take his, more willing to shoot that floater or to finish at the rim. Whereas in the past, like he really wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah, he definitely is. I think a little too unselfish at times. That shot opens up for him when there's so much spacing, and he still doesn't look to take advantage of it. But tonight he has up to 17 points, and that's been a pretty major factor.
Oh no, it's been huge.
As Klay and Steph hit back-to-back threes, so J Kid calls a timeout. I think like you said, that's going to do it as they pushed up to 118 to 102.
Like I said, like Klay Thompson is going to check back in this game. He's probably going to end it. And there you go. Hell of a season for the Dallas Mavericks. Damn good basketball team. Still a very bright future. I think next year, I know there's probably a thing you were going to want to get to. And I'd love to hear what you think about this, but I think this is a team that probably needs another 3-and-D wing. It'd just be nice to have another guy in the rotation. I think one of the places they fell up short in this run is that they ended up being just a little thin with the rotation.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're definitely going to look to add one of those type of wing guys, just to give more support. They kind of rely on Bullock and Finney-Smith a little too much right now, than I think they would prefer to. And that'll also get, a little bit of a boost as we expect Tim Hardaway Jr. to be healthy next season.
Yeah, and that'll be huge for them. If THJ is healthy, like Reggie Bullock is definitely playing less minutes. Tim Hardaway Jr. is at the NBA level like a 15, 16 point a game scorer. Better than that, really. They're gonna really love getting him back next year.
Yeah, for sure. For a good stretch there, he was, maybe their second or third best player. And he was really important for them during that playoff series last year against the Clippers. So adding him back, it just gives you more option on the wing. You don't have to rely on Bullock so much. If he's having an off shooting night like he was the other night, you'd have another, really high level shooter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say if Tim Hardaway Jr., huge Michigan fan, I don't think I've hit that at all on this podcast. If Tim Hardaway Jr. at the NBA level is your second best player, you are losing in the first round of the playoffs. But he's very clearly a very quality, rotation player at the NBA level. And just having another guy like that, again, it's the same thing we said about Cade Cunningham earlier. But when you have a 6'8" guy like Luka that runs the show, you can really surround him with. You can build the team kind of any way you want from there because your primary shot creator is somebody with so much size. And Tim Hardaway Jr. being somebody who is as good a shooter as he is, with some scoring punch. Just the fact that, again, he's really productive and he gives you something means that he ends up being really valuable for a team that's constructed the way Dallas is.
Yeah, for sure. I lost your connection for a second. Are you all good now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay, good. Out of that timeout too, we obviously saw J Kidd throwing the white flag. He brought in the bench. So, this game is over as the Warriors are going to advance to the finals. We already talked about a potential series with the Celtics. You're leaning towards Boston. We haven't done our official picks, but it sounds like that's who you're going to go. Who you're going to go with. But how good of a chance do you think the Warriors do have for this core to get their fourth championship?
I mean, they made the series. It's still a really good roster. There's still a very real chance. I think the lack of defense that they'll have on the wing will probably be their undoing here. But I mean, I think they've got a very real chance. I think a kind of hidden X factor here is a kind of hidden X factor here is actually Andre Iguodala. I think he's old. I think it's very clear that he's old and probably not the same guy he is. He was in the past. There's been, but I mean, what if he's able to give them 12 quality minutes off the bench at night? What happens then?
Yeah, I think somebody, like Otto Porter Jr., we're going to have to see how healthy he is because, when he plays, 15 minutes and he's contributing off the bench, that really helps. They threw up Bielitsa, for long stretches tonight. So, they do need, those type of guys on the wing to play well in that next series just because, that's where Boston's strength is.
Absolutely. Really gotta hope you can get an extra long break here. Best thing that could happen for them would be Miami pulling one out tomorrow and giving them just a little extra rest time.
Yep, as the Warriors dribbling out the clock right now, 10 seconds left, up 120 to 110. Got Draymond and Klay dancing on the sideline as Chase Center is obviously about to turn up tonight. Should be a thrilling series, I think. If they do match up with Boston. Before we get to that, we'll talk about some takeaways real quick from what we saw tonight, and then we'll get out of here. So, why don't we just lead that off with, this 10-point lead and Warriors clinch another finals berth. Who do you expect to get the Magic Johnson Conference Finals MVP?
I won't talk too long here. I think we should all just collectively agree to ignore this shit. But since we got to talk about it, Steph Curry. He was the best player on the Warriors roster and really best player in the series, Steph.
Yep, no doubt. He didn't, I think everybody can agree that he didn't have his best stuff tonight, but he was phenomenal, in the first 4 games of this series, outplaying Luka, game in and game out pretty much. And then, didn't exactly shoot it well tonight, but we saw other guys step up and help the Warriors advance. So I agree it's going to go to Steph, but, the Warriors aren't thinking about anything like that. They're focused on getting, that 4th championship for these guys.
As they should be, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So before we get out of here, do you have any takeaways from tonight that you're going to, for either team, whether it's how Golden State is going to be able to, challenge the Celtics or what Dallas needs to do, in the offseason or for them to, take the next step in the coming years?
I mean, I think the next step for Dallas is basically just again, like a little deeper on the wing, but like Tim Hardaway Jr. will solve some of that problem with, having another rotation player. Maybe a 3-and-D guy. If there's a way in the draft that they can kind of, quote unquote, take a swing for the fences here, with their first round pick, say they end up having a guy like let's say they end up having a guy like Tari Eason fall to them from LSU.
Where's their pick?
You said what?
Are they in the late 20s? They have their own pick.
I mean, they've got to be in the 20s, right?
Yeah, I didn't know if they had. I don't think they dealt it, right? They don't have anybody else's either.
No, I don't think they dealt it. I don't think they have any others. But yeah, somebody like Tari Eason,
Yeah, that would be a good pickup, I think.
who probably will not fall that far, to be fair. But like, there realistically are players who might be available um, in that range with potential primary shot creation ability, like Bryce McGowan's from Nebraska.
I think he's going to be a good pro. Well, obviously, we're going to get into a lot of NBA draft stuff, in the coming months. But that's one of the guys I feel like he's going to be a really good scorer at the next level.
I think that the college game ends up screwing over people like Bryce McGowan's a lot. I also think he probably didn't help himself when he decided to take his talents to Lincoln, Nebraska. But that wasn't a particularly talented roster this past year. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like, that is one area that the Mavericks are going to look to improve on this offseason, whether it is through the draft, maybe picking up somebody in free agency. I think they have a couple expiring contracts, and then, obviously they will look into making trades. Rudy Gobert has been in the mix. Other guys have been talked about. So we're going to see a lot from the Mavericks, in the coming months. What do you think the Warriors, what can they use from tonight going on to the next series?
I mean, I think what we got in this series was just classic Warriors basketball. We got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson forcing teams in Jordan Poole as well, forcing teams to feel like off pin downs they need to commit two to the ball. You commit two to the ball, you get Draymond Green in the lane. He's an elite playmaker and even some finishing chops that he clearly, I know there's one of the points of emphasis for him in the offseason. He actually has mentioned that himself. I think those are the takeaways. I think the thing with Boston is that everything is just going to end up getting switched. And so, with Golden State, you're not worried about it the same way you are with like Miami. Like Steph Curry and Jordan Poole will be able to get a bucket. So that's not really the concern there. My biggest concern is how the Warriors will match up with them on defense.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the things that I'm looking forward to as well. I do expect it to be a really competitive series. We'll get to picks, next time we're on. I think we're going to do a pre-finals show, as well as being live for game one next Thursday, a week from today now. But I do think, I haven't decided who I'm going to go with. I think it's one that could go either way. I think either way, it probably goes 6 or 7. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, as what Boston looks to clinch tomorrow night, and then we could have, nearly a week of rest before that final starts on Thursday.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be a real ride, assuming that it is Boston. Going to be fun.
Yeah, as Sean Livingston, he's out here to give out the trophies. Three-time champion with the Warriors, obviously. So, we're going to get out of here. Do you have any last words on, tonight's win for the Warriors as they clinch another finals appearance, or, what you expect to see in that game 6 between Boston and Miami tomorrow night?
Nothing for me.
Okay, cool. As the Warriors, raise up the Western Conference Finals trophy. Thanks again for watching and listening to the Spoken Truth podcast. As always, we really appreciate it. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe right here on YouTube as we go live every single week during the playoffs, with the finals scheduled to start next Thursday. And make sure to follow us on Spotify and Twitter. You can find all the information in the description box. Tunde, why don't you tell them where they can find find you on social media?
At King Tunde 25.
Make sure to follow Tunde there, and you can follow, all of the Spoken Truth podcast stuff. Also check me out at Chaz_post23. Like I said, we'll be back next week for a pre-final show, and then also game 1 of the NBA Finals between what looks to be the Warriors and the Celtics. Next week we should be back full with all 3 of our co-hosts, as Danny should be able to join us next week. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.